I've got a little presentation on the last days of steam to diesel in Amherst, and some other information that goes along with it. Included some B&M stuff because B&M was in Amherst too. So a little background. You all know the Amherst Railway Society. Well, my dad Harvey was one of the original founders.
I'm the only alive original.
So you say.
Stop bragging.
So back in the 50s when he was going to school at UMass at Stockbridge, they had a group to get together and show slides and talk about railroads, kind of informal, and the professors, teachers got interested and they wanted to get in on the thing too. So this is one of the programs in 1957 that they put together. Not my program, but this was their flyer that they put on all the bulletin boards at UMass to
We
get
want to
people.
recruit more fans.
Were you born then?
That was a year before I was born.
There you go. That's right.
Year before I was born. So many of you were driving down from center of town on Southeast Street. You cross under this bridge. This is looking north. And today it's pretty well grown up, but this is a southbound freight coming out of Amherst heading towards South Amherst and Belchertown. I guess that's the 470 if I can read it correctly. But yeah, a lot of the 400s are running the freights down here. They were the lighter engines, could go over the Miller's Fall Bridge. It's another one. This looks like a fan trip. Everybody's hanging out of the baggage car here.
Went 2x4 holding it.
So Harvey's saying he lived in this area just to the left on the top of the hill, right? You lived in that house?
I live just the other side of the track on the right side.
Oh, okay.
And then this is a special run by a high school teacher the year before I ran mine. He ran once, and I said maybe I could do the same thing.
And George photographed his.
I don't know who took the picture.
Not this one, but your trip, George photographed.
George has got the whole thing.
Here's a little further back, same location. It's got the Tuttle name on the mailbox because the Tuttles lived there. They didn't want it in their field; it was posted, but you could get good photographs from the road because there was no trees.
So clear,
Yeah. It's all trees now.
And then this is one of the famous 6218 trips. Not sure which year this is, but coming south.
This is on the front page of your handout.
Yeah. So over the years, they haven't changed the bridge. It's nice because the trucks can't get under and keeps the road less
Moved the
traveled.
telephone pole from the right side to the left side of the road.
And it does give a little warning there, 10-foot clearance. So I don't know how many trucks get stuck under there these days. So just down the track from here, I guess didn't the wreck start occurring somewhere on the north side of the bridge? Car jumped the
That's
track.
me standing there on the left.
That young man?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just south of those pictures we just looked at on the line going south into South Amherst.
Wow. So the bridge would be to the left?
Yeah, the bridge is to the left in those photos. This you can kind of see. I'm not sure if it's looking north, but you can see the remnants of the track there.
What caused the derail?
This train derailed somewhere south of the Amherst station, and it was dragged all the way down to that trestle, wooden trestle, before it went off the line.
Huh?
24 cars.
Wow.
There's one steel car on top of the pile.
So this is about where the pile ended up. And again, you're looking north here, and back towards the bridge we were looking at. And some of the contents falling out.
Newsprint, is that what that is?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And everybody's climbing all over it.
Oh, there was maple syrup, and there was wooden dishes and trays. screens and paper, and there was one steel car, Pennsylvania Railroad. Somewhere,
Yeah, so you can,
Is that the
Is
bridge?
the bridge where the crowd is, that's the bridge?
yeah, that's actually the bridge over
Yeah.
the river.
Oh.
Do you know what the cause was?
Um,
Rail or accident?
The cause?
Yeah.
It could have been a broken axle, or they were dragging one wheel. Something was dragging all the way from Amherst Station, what's that, maybe a 3/4 of a mile?
yeah,
A friend of mine, Mrs. Tuttle, the owner of the land, was driving underneath as the train went over. And there was stones flying all around. Her fault. Whoever he
Right.
told about.
so this trestle right here, the bridge we're looking at is just to the left or just to the north of here, where the street goes under. This is the Fort River here, and then, you know, this whole field is all grown in now, but it was open there then. I'm pretty sure that pile bridge is still there, right?
Yeah.
They haven't replaced that pile bridge. So this, I'm not sure if this was here to clean up or if this was the head end of the train after it occurred, but you can see the, again looking north, and you can see the wreck behind it. And if you notice, their ballast back then was just gravel and rock. They didn't have any.
Why was it pushed up on the side something?
I would imagine the Jordan spreader went through and
Oh, okay.
cleared out the for drainage. They may have been doing some work there too, but no continuous welded rail there.
Right.
Well, there's the metal box car here he's talking about. The one that's.
Wagon, yeah.
So Harvey's got a story about
That's the best picture I've seen of that.
taking one of these from Amherst.
Yeah, in 1946, I bought a ticket from Amherst to Mount Toby, which is a flag stop. And so it says Cushman on there, but I was going further. And we got on, another fellow and myself, we're gonna go up to Mount Toby, then hike home for a Boy Scout hike, it'd be about 10 miles. So I told the conductor we had to get off at that flag stop, and he said he doesn't know anything about any flag stops. He said, we can't stop. I said, well, slow down. So we did.
That's the alternative.
What station is it?
This map shows the flag stop.
I'm not sure where this was taken. Do you
That's
know?
Miller's fault.
Okay.
Where's the signal?
I can add something to that car. In 1946, that car in December of 46 was taken to St. Albans. The original engine was taken out. A Cummins engine was put in, diesel engine, and this became the only diesel-operated, diesel-powered 148 in the last of several paint schemes, and ran between St. Albans, Vermont, and Montreal, Canada, between 1947 and 1953.
See, I've got that picture at home, and I was told it was on the St. Armand's up between Swanton, East Swanton and Montreal at St. John's.
And that right window on the front became a door.
Yeah, so you see they're loading a wheelchair into the
Yeah.
baggage area for him.
They didn't deliver it in time for me.
So here's a little map just north of here. You see North Amherst at the bottom.
That's Mount Toby.
Yeah, there's Mount Toby here. So somewhere in here is the Cranberry Pond. Here's the flag stop right here. And Phil tells stories about how his mother and sisters used to get on there.
One of my great aunts used to get on the train there from Leverett. That was their their other stop, because they live in Leverett Center, so they would go up to Mount Toby Station stop. And I think it's by where the waterfall is behind the cemetery up there. But I've never really actually been able to put a stick in the ground and say, it was here.
And we haven't found any photos of it either.
No photos, no. We'll just re-letter that Pansy Park one.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of Pansy Park with a pansy growing. So it really was a farm.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to look at the Amherst Station area, and this is, Amherst Station is just to the left here. We're looking north. Main Street crossing, the last coach is probably on the crossing. And that building right behind the locomotive is the water tower. So they're probably taking on water. I don't know if, it's hard to tell here, but this might be the water spout here, I can't tell.
Well, yeah, you got somebody up on the tender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tender's up there. So this building here is gone. There's another one in its place. But so, you know, this is going to be, I'm bad on dates with this, but.
Is that the hat factory?
It was some kind of a manufacturing business, and they took it down shortly after the picture was taken.
Here's some similar pictures. These were in, these came from the Springfield Union, I believe, or Springfield Republican. They're in the, they're also in the handout too. So again, there's that water tower, that building right there. This is the one they're waiting for the train.
The Vermont National Guard was going to go to war in the Spanish-American War, and Amherst citizens came out to greet them as they went by.
All right, so you got the cupola on the station, the original configuration. This was a baggage room that they could put baggage in, and they had this elevated walkway, or it's more than a walkway. The freight house is right here on the other side, you know, just out of the picture. So that was a connection to the freight house at the time.
You know, if you take a picture of this with your phone, you can enlarge it, and you can see all those people.
Again, here's another picture. At this point, that other building is gone, but the water tower is still there.
How long did that last?
The water tower?
Yeah.
Well, there was
They
two.
built a 50,000 gallon tank and placed it across the street.
Well, first of all, they replaced it here in the same location. Apologize, I can look it up. There's an article in Ambassador, Volume 19, Number 3, on the Amherst Station that Steve Horsley and Harvey wrote, and it's got some dates when the water towers were changed. But this was the second one in that location, and we surmised that there was an issue being there because when they coming south, they're going to block the crossing with a long train. So they probably convinced them to move it to the next location. Again, you can see the same configuration of the station. You still got that baggage room there, but the platform going up to the freight station is gone. So they also changed the passenger platform. It's a lower platform here.
Well, they got less freight traffic apparently because they were connected to the freight house.
Right, right. So here's where they moved it further north, just less than a quarter mile. So you go across Main Street, there's a crossing at, was it High Street and what are the two, North Whitney Street? I can't remember. There's two crossings, and you also have the siding there, the long siding that goes up towards Strong Street. So.
They put the spigot between the two tracks.
Right, right. Here's a shot coming in. You can't see the water towers behind the two locomotives, but that's the same house there. They're standing right here. This is one of the crossings, and it's very easy to identify because of these high tension lines here. My mom's grew up at one at
Right in the White House.
this house right here. Okay, and she always told the story of they'd have the washout on the line drying, and they heard the train coming. They'd quick run out and grab it before it was
Right, it's been downwind.
So my dad was painting that house when he met my mom. So. And for your speeder fans, you didn't get the whole thing, but number 90 is sitting right here next to the track. And this one here I just got off of Facebook. A fellow by the name of Bob Cox had posted it, and I asked him, can I use it? His brother, Bill, had taken a ton of pictures back in mid-50s, right before steam was gone, and I'm sure he'd be willing to share what he's got with us. But this was just 2 days ago I found this one, but same location. He had posted these to say, hey guys, where are these? And someone answered, well, somewhere on the Southern Division, and I of course said, it's in Amherst. I think John saw some of these too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, high tension lines give it away. And you got your spigot right in between the track and the water tower's just out of sight in the photo here. So now we're getting on. We got a cut down tender switcher 453 here. Not sure who this is. Is this you?
Dan Foley.
Dan. Okay, Dan Foley. Now they've cut a hole. They've blocked off the windows. They cut in a double door here and put in a platform so they can unload the less than carload LCL packages that came in or go out and store them in this side of the station. There's a layout at some point. It's in I think it's in the handout too. But originally they had two waiting rooms. The men's waiting room was on the south side, and the women's room was on the north side, and then the telegraph and ticket agent was in between. But at this point, they didn't need the waiting room, so they made it into a freight agency. But yeah.
You know, Dan Foley is really the guy that started the Amherst Railroad Society.
Oops.
Because he got the thing going in the first place.
Here's another picture of
That's another
Dan.
picture of him.
He's they had a platform on that side still at this point. Of course, no passenger trains, and there really wasn't any passenger platform there at this point. But this was, you know, what, 1955, 56?
Yeah.
They just throw boards out to the freight cars.
Right. So looks like the local freight coming in to do some switching, because had this runaround track and then another siding beyond that. And
What's interesting, there's no flags on the engine. So I mean, they're on,
That's a
the
pickup.
timetable.
now,
This
no,
engine worked for Brattleboro Power.
Yeah, it's a local.
someone had their washout
There's
on the line
pickup at
over
that
here.
time.
So yeah, at this time the semaphore was still up. I remember when I was young, Dad took me up to the station, and it was a Bob Britton. Bob
Yeah.
Ray Britton was the operator there.
Yeah, he did.
He showed me the telegraph thing, and he said, you know, they had the phone with the accordion thing there,
Extension, yeah.
extension, and yeah. This is a little earlier, but I guess it's out of sequence. But here you can see the trackage coming in from the north. You had the runaround track. You had the siding here, and it also looks like there's another siding over here, because the freight house was right over here. So they, I'm sure they had a siding up to the freight house.
They put that steamer on it because they must have had trouble with the engine on the,
On the doodle boat, gas electric, or diesel electric, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so this is getting towards the end. Again, you can see the freight platform there, and got this. I'm not sure if that building's still there. Maybe it was kind of fallen into disrepair, but I think that was part of the lumber, Elder Lumber.
One night when I was dispatching, when Amtrak was going through all the way to New London, Connecticut, I put the southbound in on this track on the east side, because they were running so late, and the northbound went up, did their station stop, and then pulled ahead, and these guys backed out for the passenger train and went south. Come to find out, I had to have a track warrant up for them for about a mile in there between, everybody was running on the road. They called me on the phone and kind of chuckled when they got into Palmer. We got away with it.
Now this picture, I don't think, it was said to be in Amherst, but the buildings really don't look right, although the telephone poles do. So if anyone knows where this is, I don't think it's in Amherst, but it's nice of the one of the 220 with some coaches behind it. And here's a good shot of the freight house. Here's Amherst College over here with the church. That's very easy to recognize. And
That's Sturge Chapel.
yeah, and then the siding down here. At one point there was a turntable down here, and I think Steve has some pictures. We may have some pictures in the ambassador of the turntable, but I don't think it was here at this point. But again, this was getting late into the steam days. Another good one of the station. You can see the lumber company was taking cars up here. Remember Elder Lumber? They had their storefront on Main Street going there when I was a kid, and then later on they moved down to College Street, just in back of where this picture's being taken. They built a new building there. But I think they retained these buildings for a while. I think they're all apartments now.
Yes.
My brother bought an old town at Canoe, and it was shipped by rail, and he accepted it here. 17-foot wooden canoe.
So they didn't want people getting wet when they're on the platform here, so they extended out the drain, the gutter downspout.
Oh, and I like the upright.
So the station got into disrepair, and of course the CV wasn't using it anymore, and a group that was forming the new Mass Central was able to purchase the station from the CV. The CV didn't want to sell it to any private party because it was next to the tracks. They didn't want any, but they were willing to sell it to the Mass Central. So they got some grants and people's money, and I think starting in 1979, they were done by the end of 1980. They fixed it up. This was the after it's been restored. In fact, this is probably a little later on because there's a baggage car here that wasn't there. But Mass Central used it as an office starting in late February 1981 because I was working with Ken Coombs and Peter Dearness, and they said, "Hey, you want to be work?" And I was going to UMass, and this was closer than when I was working for him at the Greyhound bus station in Springfield. So I said, "Sure." So I spent a year working in this office for the Mass Central, going to school, and I was still working for him at Greyhound too.
Was that the wall that they poked the garage
Yep.
door in?
Right.
Oh,
So they
nicely-
restored
nice
the windows here.
restoration. Beautiful.
Some of the picture they put a door in here so they could put the speeder in this end. They restored all that. So
Cupola on it.
they put the cupola back on.
Great.
Pictures up until the early 30s show the cupola. Then around 1940 pictures, it wasn't there. So we haven't fully verified, but we're pretty sure the 1938 hurricane took the cupola off, or at least damaged it enough where they're. But according to the article, looking in the CV books, we couldn't find any expense that showed that they had to do anything to that. But
the building in the background there, with the two windows that you see, that was the apartment I rented for a year in 1995.
Ah.
For
There you
a
go.
very inexpensive price.
What was that?
I rented an apartment in the building in the background there for a year.
Yeah, that lumberyard has got apartments in it.
Yeah, that must have been it.
So this was the original layout. Again, had men's room on the south side. Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. This has got to be the north side because the telegraph and the ticket offices was on the track side. They had a washroom here. I guess only the men got the washroom.
It was only for the agent, they have to go through the office.
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
maybe
there.
it's just for the agent.
You know, the men got the spittoon as well.
So, yeah, so they had a little baggage room here and then a woman's here. It does look like the size of the two rooms were equal, so, you know, but, when we rehabbed this, this door wasn't, you know, it's fixed, so there was a door here, and door here. I don't think they've reopened that door. But, right after lunch, we'll go up and take a look at, how it is now. Unfortunately, it seemed, you know, time always takes its toll, and so here's a good one coming into town from the south. You get Amherst College in the background. You get your
Pull your laundry in on that one.
so you get your less than carload freight here. This is probably the Wells Fargo truck or whoever the Railway Express was, and actually the baggage, I mean the freight house was still there at this point. So,
That's a lot of.
but notice
that's a
no
carload.
no cupola,
Oh, yeah.
no cupola on it there. So this is Strong Street crossing. You know, we saw the water tower, which is just to the right of here, and then, you know, the station there. So this is headed north, and there's a long siding from High Street up to Strong Street called the Strong Street crossing, and it was popular for going into the hole for
What's the name of the street at the north end of the siding?
Strong Street.
Strong Street.
Strong Street. Yeah.
Everybody knew Henry Ellis, Hank the Crank, worked on Amtrak. He come out of one night out of Palmer. He got into an argument with a guy. He stopped the train up there and kicked the guy off the train out there and said, "Call the police." And he left the bike standing out there in the middle of Strong Street with his luggage. Hank the Crank.
The crane.
The chief of police of Amherst, his farm is just this side of where that photographer was.
Okay, they call the police up and call
Yeah.
it.
So
The guy was putting the
Drop
train
him
up on
off
the
at
seat,
the
and Henry
chief's
tried to
house.
take him off, and he wouldn't do it, so Henry stopped the train, kicked him off the train, went on his way.
So this is, I'm sure in the 50s, but Strong Street was still a dirt road back then, but been paved now. Another one, I think this is Harry Frost, the engineer will see. Heading north at the water tower, you can see the high tension lines in the background, and the siding on the right and the main line on the left with the plug in between. I'm sure they're blocking the crossing on this one. Looks like a long train back to Main Street. So, can't remember, they're both Harry, right? One's Harry Frost, Harry,
Don Robinson.
no, Harry Frost and Harry Robbins.
Harry.
Harry Robbins, right. So, this was the last trip on steam coming down from Brattleboro, and these guys had the local.
They were headed to Brattleboro.
Oh, headed to Brattleboro, sorry. Oh yeah, station's in the background, sorry. See the station over here, so. So they got the pose for this one, and then next day, they had the first diesel coming back, and that was basically the end of steam on the south end. And see the station in the background, no cupola on it. April 1957. So pretty soon the Fairbanks, this is Alco's.
Those are Alco's.
Alco's started coming down and hooping up the orders to the conductor here at the station.
That's where he's written,
Ah,
holding up the hoop. His son Bob wrote a banana road book.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I got that.
so we got, of course, EMDs heading north, and same, got the platform there. I'm sure there's a picture of me somewhere standing on this platform when I was just starting to walk. because I do remember walking on it. So at this point, they hadn't put the speeder door in yet. You can see the regular door is still there. The sign's still on there, and it looks like they got the Railway Express sign underneath it. And got the F units coming up, Canadian National. And here's the Fairbanks Morse. Yeah, we got some fans standing here, waving.
Ray Britton used to call me up and tell me what type of power was coming down.
And we're back to our water tower location. Yeah, so the water tower would be to the left of the cut down tender. Probably got some coal being delivered to Amherst College. And but UMass took coal too. But that was up further north on the siding up there. They got the white flags on theirs.
Yeah, extra.
That's southbound?
That's southbound.
Southbound? That's been before 1954.
Yeah. So the west side track is the siding, and the east side track is the main line.
Before September, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, you can see the,
So
really clear.
on to the B&M. Harvey eventually ended up on Snell Street with his folks, or his folks ended up there, and he was there for a little while until he moved on, on his own. But this is Snell Street. Goes between people don't know, it goes between 116 at the Farmer Supply down to University Drive on Route 9. And it was a popular cut through to get around the center of town. But you can see the bridge here. This again is the bike trail now, Nordic Bike Trail, but that bridge is still there. And this was his parents' property, and there was still some steam going by when...
I took the picture and I was standing next to my barn, my dad's barn.
Shadow of the house?
That's the shadow of the barn. House
barn,
is to the
okay.
left.
I was
Yeah.
standing in the dooryard and I took a picture of this. This is a mogul.
So 1945, you moved in there? Was that the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1945 they moved there.
It was quite a hill from Hadley up into Amherst.
Yeah, if you're biking it, you can still tell it's quite a...
They tried to put on some 44 tonners after this and they couldn't do it. They were too late.
So this is down at the B&M Amherst station at the Farmer Supply that was shown earlier, and looks like he's either changing a headlight or cleaning it or something with the headlight there, but plenty of snow around the pilot and the wheels.
His name was Nicholson and he lived in Worcester and he came up every day to Northampton and take this train to Wheelwright.
So here's a earlier picture of the Amherst, the B&M Amherst station. 116 South Pleasant Street is in the background, and they had and the track didn't look great, but they had the main line, and then they had a runaround siding, and then just in back was the Amherst Farmer Supply, and I would imagine the Farmer Supply was here in this time too. That Farmer Supply was around for a while. I don't know if it was originally called the Farmer Supply, but there's a grain store there from the beginning, I assume, because it's seen in all the old pictures.
Well, all they did, they just added a piece to this building.
Right, but the main store, the main Farmer Supply store is to the right, to the left, outside of the picture. This I use for storage now. Here's another one, not much weed controlled then, but it's long gone. But you can see the old wooden bridge. Over there's Route 116 is a state highway. I don't know if it was a state highway at this point or part of the Amherst, but so there's two bridges. There was the highway bridge, and then there was a walking bridge you can just kind of see behind it for the sidewalk. And by this time, the station was pretty unused, but the semaphores were still up. So this had to be, last days of steam in the B&M in the early 50s.
I think they still own those signals.
This may be the same. It says build engineer 1948 engineer Bill Jock. So this was also in Amherst on the B&M Wheelwright branch. So the 44 tonners he was talking about. This is over in Northampton. Phil showed us the yards in Northampton. The B&M was on the east side of Route 5, and New Haven was on the west side where Stop and Shop is now. So B&M had a pretty good, and even when the Diesels came along, they're still doing a lot of yard work in Northampton. So this is where the wheelwright branch started from. Had a turntable there. They used the SW switchers, and they used these. These are the ones I remember seeing in the last part of the operation on the wheelwright branch. They had a 2-stall engine house. You can see in the background over here. This was Whalen Stationery, I think it was. That's on Route 5.
McDonald's there now.
Yeah, McDonald's was probably to the left here, because McDonald's is right where the bridge to where the New Haven went to Williamsburg. That's right near where the McDonald's is now. And
McDonald's probably sitting for that engine house.
and they made up their train, and they're heading to wheelwright.
Yeah, they had to go to this size engine to get into Amherst.
Yeah, so Harvey took all these pictures, or most of them. So they come out, there's a nice curve getting out of the yard, you cross over this street. I think that's all been changed around for the bike trail now, that bridge isn't there anymore. Here's the Coolidge Bridge, and coming from Northampton going into Hadley. Phil mentioned the trolley, the road, the trolley, and the railroad all had their own bridge, and they all look just like this, or very similar. And they're right next to each other. So this was taken from the newer Coolidge Bridge, highway bridge, but you can find pictures of 3 of them together. I don't have any today, but and you can
The
write.
bridge was south of the Coolidge Bridge.
Right, Coolidge Bridge is more south.
And the Coolidge Bridge was not the Coolidge Bridge at that time.
No, he was probably still alive, Calvin.
The 36 hurricane, or 36 flood took out the trolley bridge and the highway bridge, but it didn't take out this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was first, too. This was up
Yeah, so it had
Yeah.
front of the.
So you can ride over this on the bike trail these days.
I walked it yesterday.
So again, back to Snell Street. There's the 44 tonner trying to deliver one car to probably to Amherst College. Cool.
For one?
There's a really good hill both directions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks
coming
like
into
it's
Amherst.
pushing pretty hard there.
This is in Hadley. You can see the station was gone, but they still had a sign that said Hadley.
For some reason, I never took a picture of that Hadley station.
Yeah, there's one. There's one at least came from a newspaper. Yeah, yeah. So I'm sure they had a siding there with pull up your plow when you go through the switch. So this is looking the other way. Here's their house on Snell Street. He was standing there before, looking this way. Right here is the bridge, Snell Street Bridge, and vividly remember, probably just when I started to walk there. We'd always go up there and walk there, and I was walking over the bridge, looking through the ties into the street, and I slipped, and I fell down, to my legs. Obviously I didn't fall through, but that was a remembering experience. I can't remember how old I was, but I wasn't that old. So before we're looking at the station, this is at just west of the station. We're standing on the Route 116 bridge, and this was the walkway, the sidewalk walkway, and 97 miles to Boston. Certainly not 36 miles to Northampton.
97.36.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Thanks for. Because 105, like Phil
7
said.
miles to Northampton.
Yeah, another one of the station with the 1170. You can see the bridges in the background. Semaphore is still there. And this is just down the street. We saw where the CV went over the Fort River. This is where the B&M went over the Fort River. The two lines. This is looking north. The two lines come together and converge down here at Norwottuck Junction, where the B&M took trackage rates in the latter years to get on the CV to Belchertown to Canal Junction. And this is Steve's shot looking in the other direction that he took. Again, the Fort River. if the locomotive and trees weren't there, you'd be able to see with the site where the wreck was, we showed, and you'd see that pile bridge that the Fort River goes under the CV. So eventually they get to Belchertown. This was on the shared trackage with CV, but when they got to Belchertown, they still had their own station, or physical track station. The Belchertown station had been taken down, but they had 2 or 3 customers still in Belchertown when they're using the CV for trackage rights, and they're switching this New Haven car to someone there. So you may be familiar with Belchertown. If you come up on Route 202, you go over a bridge over the CV. That's a new bridge. The original bridge was just to the left of here on the north side of the station, and it's still Bridge Street there, but I'm sure the Commonwealth of Mass and the highway decided that it was better to put the bridge where it is now at some point, because there was kind of a curve to get around to there. Doing a little more switching here in Belchertown. There's the Belchertown station, still there at this point, I guess. George has got pictures of Harvey's charter steam train here, showing the group getting on at Belchertown. Some people got on in Amherst, some people got on in Belchertown. How many did you have on that? 300 people?
200 in Amherst and 100 in Belchertown.
Yeah. And he and my mom sold all the tickets. So this is the famous or infamous Bondsville trestle, looking west. Someone looks brave. They're standing on the platform over here. And behind me would be the Bondsville station, which lasted in ill repair up until, I don't know, did it make it into the 2000s? Maybe the 90s.
Definitely in the 90s.
I think the fire department uses it as a practice burn. So back to Snell Street. Snell Street is in the background with this house on the left. This is a pump car. I don't know if you want to tell the story of the pump car, how you got it, but
The track crew from Amherst collided on Strong Street with a man delivering newspapers. And it had to be returned to St. Albans for repair. And they sent him this as punishment for poor driving. I was coming back from Northfield. I was living in Amherst and working in Northfield. And I heard the way freight at Leverett, so I drove in 63 to see what was going on. And this was in the grass, and they'd thrown it into the brush. And they just had it delivered by this way freight, dropped it off for the track crew there in Leverett. And the track crew just threw it in the brush. So I asked if I could have it, and they said, well, we'll take it to Amherst and you write to the railroad and tell them you'd like to buy it, and we'll deliver it to you. So I wrote to the railroad and they said, well, send $15. You can have it. So I stored it in my father's garage for a while, and that's why it happens to be in this spot.
it was also convenient because they didn't run trains on the weekend, so you could go from Norwater to Northampton and be pretty assured you weren't going to get.
And you can ride it anytime you want to go to Shelburne Falls, you can ride on it.
Yeah, so it's up in Shelburne. So this is Harvey on the left, and that's his brother, my uncle Les, and then there's my mom and me.
You're so cute.
So I got into it early, believe me.
Hard to miss it with a.
So when I was in high school, this fellow, my friend Rob, helped me. By that time, some of the wood was starting to rot, so we replaced some wood and we painted it up. He had conveniently had some Rust-Oleum and orange that matched CV colors, so we used that. And you can't really see it, but we hand lettered the CV logo on there, and somewhere, I hope it's still on there, it still has the original number tag on it. So again, it's up at Shelburne Falls now, being well taken care of. So that's about the end of it. We'll say goodbye to the conductor as they go out of town, and